There's no such thing as sight reading. And key of A minor is just a variable of the key of C major. It's not a new thing. It's just a continuation of an old thing. Because the keys, the scales, and the triads that you expect to see, that you're most likely to see in the key of A minor, are the same ones that you're most likely to see in the key of C major, except if you're in A minor, you get one extra one. So if you learned all of the relevant keys that are most likely to appear in key of C major, when you move to A minor, you get to keep all that, and you just add one extra one to it, right? And that's the thing about learning an advanced concept. Advanced concepts are continuations of basic concepts, right? So you get to keep everything you learned in the last thing, and then you just add one little thing to it or change one little thing about it. And that's why, as you advance, if you learn your basics correctly, the part you get to keep becomes a larger and larger part of the whole, and the part you have to change becomes a smaller part of the whole, and it gets easier and easier and easier the more you advance. So if you're in the key of C major, whether you're reading music, composing music, improvising music, any application of music that you choose, that doesn't just mean you're just using notes of the C major scale, right? There's a family of keys that you look for, a family of scales and harmonies. And you have your primary keys. That's your 1, your 4, your 5, your tonic, your subdominant, and your dominant. You have your relative key. That would be if you're in C major, that'd be A minor. If you're in A minor, that'd be C major, right? The relative keys are the major and minors that have the same key signature. And then you have some additional closely related keys. Close related keys are key signatures no more than one sharp or one flat away, right? So if we're in key of C major, I'm looking for C major scale and triad, C major scale and chord, arpeggio. That's my tonic, that's my key of 1. I'm looking for my key of 5, that's my dominant, right? That one's going to be there almost 100% of the time. That's my key of 5, that'd be G major or a G triad, G arpeggio. And I could see the key of 4, the subdominant, that'd be F major, and the F harmony. Those are my primaries. Those are also closely related, right? They're both primary keys and closely related. And then I'm looking for A minor. That could be a scale or a chord. And then I have 2 additional closely related keys. You could have D minor, which has 1 flat in the key signature. You could have E minor, which has 1 sharp in the key signature. Now, any of those keys can appear as a triad, as a harmony. Dominant chord might have 4 notes in it, 5 notes in it, and you don't need any accidentals. But if any of those keys appear in a melodic line, there's relevant accidentals, right? Based on the key. And so you can look at the key signature and realize you're in the key of C and predict which harmonies and which accidentals are most likely to appear based on that key, because it's a family of keys. Now, if you're in the key of A minor, which also has no sharps, no flats in the key signature, just like C major, you get to keep that entire list of scales and triads that you're looking for in the key of C, right? Now, the primary keys are only closely related keys now, and some of the close related keys become primary keys now. The 2 relative keys are still the same. But if you're in A minor, you got 1 extra one, and it's an important one because it's your dominant. So your 5 chord, to create a dominant tonic resolution, your 5 chord has to be a dominant chord, and your key of 5 is going to be major. So you're going to have an E7 chord, which has a G sharp in it. You may have an entire E major scale, but you're going to at least have a G sharp, an E major triad, to create that sense of resolution to A minor. And that key of 5, that E major, that E dominant, that is the variable that changes C major into the key of A minor. Everything else stays the same. So if you're in A minor, you're going to need that one accidental. Unlike key of C, you can have all of the relevant triads with no accidentals. If you're in the key of A minor, one of those triads is going to need an accidental. That's why you look for that G sharp. So if you become literate in your major keys, as opposed to just practice and playing your scales, if you learn them by sight, by spelling, by sound, learn the relevant keys that are involved and actually learn how to play in those keys, then moving to minors is a very, very, very small step. Because in regard to pitch, everything in music theory is a variation of the spelling of the major scale, and everything in musical ear training in regard to pitch is a variation of the sound of the major scale. And so becoming literate in the major scale makes advanced concepts very, very simple, because it's always just a variation of something you've already learned before, and then your focus, whether you're reading music, writing music, or improvising music, you've already learned all those things in advance. It switches to the rhythm where it belongs. My name's Mark Dooley. I've been a private music teacher for 37 years, focused on practical theory and music literacy. If you'd like to hear more, follow me. If you'd like lessons, contact me. If you can learn how to read words, you can learn how to read music.